Hello everybody watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 7 of Season 6 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Bermuda Triangle Superspeedway for the Doritos 500 as we're getting set for 30 laps of racing here at this triangular restrictor plate track, and we are returning to the package we used at Daytona, CTS Physics and the CFTF EXE that I use, and we should be in for quite an interesting race. But before we take a look at the starting lineup, let's take a look at the point standings. So after last week at Las Vegas, Cole Deaver still leads the points, but by 12 points over Phil Parker. Third is Jake Baskinger. Fourth is Joshua Sekuli. Fifth, Caleb Kilburn. Sixth, James Shelley. Seventh, Raphael Leduc. Eighth, Rob Evans. Ninth, James Qualls. 10th, Matt McIntyre. But in fact, first through 38th is separated by 97 points. Right now, Joey Parkhill at 131 back, and Logan Bradley on 163 back. So those two are going to have some work to do to try and get closer and closer to getting higher in the point standings. But let's take a look at the starting lineup. Starting in the last row is Carson Gum, Raphael Leduc. Top 10, Joey Parkhill gets his first pole of the season. Starting next to him is Jessica Shelton. Row 2, Jonathan Zorline, Zachary Fitzwater. Row 3, Michael Norman, Jake Rogers. Row 4, Phil Parker, Joshua Collard. And then row 5, Caleb Kilburn and Cole Deaver. Let's get the command to fire engines for the Doritos 500 at the Bermuda Triangle.
Drivers, start your engines.
All 40 drivers now on the racetrack for their one pace lap around here. So, of course, as I said before, yes, we are back to the Daytona package that we ran where, well, it's going to be for all restrictor plate tracks: Daytona, Talladega, Bermuda, Armory Digital, what have you, where basically it's CTS Physics and on a different EXE of this game. This is the no CFTF EXE that Seth Cole gave me. And from what we saw at Daytona, we got arguably the best Daytona 500 in the history of this series whenever we used this package. So we could expect similar results here at Bermuda. However, Bermuda, this is the first time ever, I believe, in this series that we have ran at Bermuda. So this is going to be a virtual unknown for some of these drivers to run this track. But from what I've gathered, 4 wide is a no-no. 3 wide is will definitely work. But we'll see how it all turns out as the pace car has entered pit road, coming off of turn 6. Yeah, that's right, this is a 6-turn track, it's a triangle, and ladies and gentlemen, it is time to boogity 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 go racing. Phil Parker, the winner from California, led that lap as I see one car on the apron. That's DJ Curtis. Now, I did see this happen in a test session I did for this track. One car will randomly be running the apron for a good portion of time before finally running back onto the racetrack. And there he is, DJ Curtis, running on the track and the apron. I did a test race here in which it was Rob Evans who was the one doing that. Now I'm seeing it's DJ Curtis, but now he might have just settled it out, and now he's back onto the racetrack. So it looks like that problem got settled pretty quickly. Back up at the front, however, Phil Parker still leads, but we got quite a cluster of cars right behind, led now by Emmanuel Hartnett in the 20 car. Emmanuel Hartnett comes into this race 31st in points. He didn't have a very good run last week at Vegas. We'll see if he can improve upon that and get a good run here today. Matt McIntyre, on the other hand, had a fantastic day at Vegas, moved up to 10th in points. Seems that making that move to co-own an operation with DJ Curtis is really paying off, as both he and Curtis, well, actually, no, DJ Curtis actually fell to 20th in points, but Matt McIntyre in 10th. So, decent start, at least, for that team, as single file up here in the top 4. Now top 5, it's turned single file, so perhaps drivers are trying to work out timing of such. As Phil Parker has so far led every lap here in this race, but Emmanuel Hartnett right there to the back bumper, or close to the back bumper. He just needs that extra draft push to really make a move, as now we're seeing Caleb Kilburn in the 99 lead the charge on that inside line, trying to figure out how to get up to the front for himself. Matt McIntyre pulls out of line to try and go to the bottom, but he gets overrun by Caleb Kilburn, but now falls back down low in front of Logan Bradley, in which Logan Bradley coming into this race dead last in points. He has been having a struggle so far this season, finishing in the bottom 5 quite a few times. Could this be the day he breaks his bad luck streak? We'll see how it all plays out for him. But meanwhile, it's still Parker and Hartnett up here in the top 2, but now that's about to change, as here comes Matt McIntyre with help from fellow Fords, Logan Bradley, Caleb Kilburn, and Melissa Alexander. In fact, the 90, the 99, and the 6, they're teammates. And we got Fords running in the top 5 right now, which is really impressive because Fords are definitely showing some promise right now. Matt McIntyre right behind his teammate Phil Parker. Meanwhile, 2 of the Average Joe Enterprise teammates trying to work together, Logan Bradley and Caleb Kilburn, but not having much luck right now, as Phil Parker, as I've said, has led every lap so far this race, and this is not very typical for a restrictor plate track where someone can just dominate. But perhaps some of the drivers behind them are just not able to get a good enough run on the 00, or they're just taking their time, buying their time to see how things play out. I see another car running the apron. I want to say that that was Jonathan Zorline in the 41 on the apron, and I think it might have been him. Let's see if he's going to run there again. No, it looks like he's going to be all right. Couple of instances where some drivers will run the apron on occasion. Meanwhile, Logan Bradley up to 2nd. But again, the more these guys battle behind them, the more it benefits Phil Parker, it seems. Over 200 miles an hour down this racetrack. Here comes another Curtis McIntyre racing car, Joshua Sekuli, who's moved up to 4th in the standings after last week at Vegas. Joshua Sekuli, remember, is a former series champion. He definitely knows how to get things done. As meanwhile, speaking of that, he's going underneath for 2nd, but look at Benjamin Miles. Benjamin Miles now makes a pass for the 2nd spot, 3 wide, but again, this just continues to help the 00 Phil Parker stay in the lead. But now 3 wide for the lead. Our first lead change of the race, but it's going to be Trent Dunham to the inside, as it's now 3 wide, several rows deep. As now, after a cool-off of the first 8 laps, now we're getting to what we're wanting to see out of this racetrack, and that's some big-time 3 wide racing battle for positions. Trent Dunham right now hanging on to that spot, but we got a new contender coming into the picture. Bradley Zorgdrager in the 66, the winner from Atlanta, but underneath is James Shelley. Shelley didn't have the best of runs last week at Vegas either and fell to 6th in the point standings, but is still running strong. Now a new contender on the bottom, the defending series champion, Dylan Jacobs, who comes into this race 11th in the point standings. He's definitely trying to look to go 2 seasons in a row of winning a championship. But now it might turn 3 wide for the race lead, as look at Jacobs go. He's going to go to the apron to make the move. Can he clear, though? Oh, he gets back onto the racetrack. Didn't clear James Shelley. In fact, Shelley actually got a huge run on the outside line to keep the lead. But now Dylan Jacobs is going to have help in the form of his teammate Jordan Forbes, in which Jordan Forbes, he's looking to get some good runs going, as he's 30th in the standings right now coming into the race. Definitely looking for that first top 10? Yeah, first top 10 finish of the season, as now Dylan Jacobs has the race lead, but he might lose it going into turn 1, as now Cody Lamas, 32nd in points, who had a bad run at Vegas, had forced him to fall from 17th to 32nd in points, but it's still very close. Like I said, 1st through 38th is only separated by 97 points. Anything can happen going forward, as now here comes 14th in points, Jonathan Zorlin, who finished in the bottom 5 last week, came into the race at Vegas 2nd in points, comes here 14th, trying to get back into the hunt, as meanwhile, Joey Parkhill, the pole sitter, who unfortunately didn't get to lead a lap at the start, looks like he will get to lead a lap now as he gets to the line first, but it's going to be 3 wide for that spot, as here comes Michael Norman, Kyle Matthews, with Matthews on the very inside to get the spot for himself. Matthews coming into this race 28th in points. Definitely looking to get his first win of the season. And now the points leader, Cole Deaver, now up to the front, as he's also looking for, actually he's looking for his 2nd win this season, in fact. But here comes Joshua Collard to the inside. Now Collard has had a struggle at the start of the season, coming into this race 35th in points, and was one of the dominant drivers of Season 5. In fact, led most of the point standings in Season 5. Not off to a good start this season, but is running pretty strong up here at the front, as now Rob Evans has the race lead. And Rob Evans has been one of the more impressive rookies this season, coming in 8th in the championship standings. But now here comes one of the drivers to look out for all season, DJ Curtis. And apologies if you hear any connecting or disconnecting of my phone. I just had to plug my phone in, and I apologize for that popping up. So, technical difficulties, everybody. Back to the action at hand. Johnny Gardner now with the race lead, as he threw a huge block on both Charles Sanford and Cole Baker. I don't know how that wasn't a wreck, but great mirror driving on the part of the 9 car. But now here comes Cole Baker to the inside, but also Jake Rogers. Look at the run Rogers has got going right now, and he's getting pushed by Rafael Leduc, who started in the last row, I believe dead last, and is now up here into the top 5. Jay Jefferson with an aggressive move to get to 3rd, as we're starting to see some new contenders come up through the field that we haven't talked about all day, like Seth Cole, Zachary Fitzwater, Chris Dollarton, among others. But man, Jake Rogers is really trying to mirror drive right now. 2 cars on the apron. Looked like Sekuli and Kilburn were on the apron. but they keep it together, at least for now. But now Jay Jefferson up to second, and Jay Jefferson last week didn't finish very well and comes in 23rd in points. Still plenty of time for him, though. Zachary Fitzwater, on the other hand, moved up to 16th in points after, I believe he got a top 10 run last week at Vegas. As Sekuli, he's stuck running on that apron. As let me try and get to his perspective and see what happens with him. Looks like he's trying to get back onto the racetrack, as I hit the wrong button right there. The Sekuli, it looks like he's trying to get back into the pack, but they're running 3 wide all over, which makes it almost impossible for him to get into a proper line back into the pack. Maybe, he's gonna cut it close. He is for sure cutting it close, but I think maybe he's got it settled. No, not quite. But look at the moves he's making, though. Made a couple of big moves to get some positions. But now he's going to lose those spots because he doesn't have draft help. But I think that might have... Well, maybe not. I spoke too soon. Now Dylan Young going onto the apron. Back up at the front, however, speaking of Dylan Young, his teammate Zachary Fitzwater now has the race lead as we made it past halfway. I forgot to mention that a lap ago. Meanwhile, a couple of females going at it right now for the third spot. Melissa Alexander trying to take that spot from Jessica Shelton and clears her and is going to try and block her as much as she can. As meanwhile, Jake Rogers takes the lead back. But look at the run that both Melissa and Jessica are getting right now. Somehow working together. And that's going to help the 6 of Melissa Alexander try and take the race lead. Meanwhile, her husband, Joey Parkhill, on the other hand, I believe he's somewhere stuck. Yeah, he's back in dead last right now, which isn't good because he cannot afford right now to run bottom 5 again. Side by side for the lead between females, Shelton and Melissa. Shelton with that run to the inside, but just needs that push, and here comes Dylan Young to give her that push, who's also getting pushed from Shelton's teammate, James Qualls. A couple other new contenders coming into the picture. Anthony McCrory being one of them, but he's about to get passed by Caleb Kilburn. Still side by side for the lead between Shelton and Alexander, but now it's about to turn 3 wide because Dylan Young trying to make that line work, but Melissa Alexander managed to use the outside line to keep the position. That's impressive. And she's a rookie this season, which is what makes it more impressive. In fact, so far this season for rookies, it's been pretty successful. Zordragger won at Atlanta. Michael Norman won at Daytona. Could we see a rookie win today? I don't know, but here comes Joshua Sekuli, who earlier, just a few laps ago, was running on the apron and now has found his way up to the race lead. Like I've said a couple times already, he is a former series champion, so he knows how to win races and championships, but he hasn't had much luck since winning the championship, and I want to say that was season 3, I believe. I want to say it was season 3 that he won the championship. Back up at the front, it's Jordan Forbes versus Matt McIntyre for the lead, and now also Dylan Poteet entering the picture. And we haven't talked about him all race long. He's now found himself in the hunt for the win now. 10 laps to go here at Bermuda. We're getting down to the wire, but Poteet, I think he went up to block Matt McIntyre, but didn't realize he left the bottom open. As here comes Rafael Leduc in the 09, who actually got a push from teammate Charles Sanford, but now that's about to be gone because here comes Sanford to the inside with a push from Dylan Jacobs. Which is kind of surprising considering these two don't like each other. But yet the 78 was willing to give that push to the 03. I guess it really shows you friends are where you find them. But meanwhile, Trent Dunham, on the other hand, He now is back up to the front, but opened the door a little bit for Kyle Matthews. And how about Carson Gum? He started in the last row and now is up here in contention to potentially win this thing. And it also goes to show you how quickly you can get back up to the front. About 4 laps ago, Joey Parkhill was running dead last. Now he's back up here into the top 10 on that inside line into 26. Tim Fiegel, we haven't talked about him all race long. He's now up here in 4th. Meanwhile, his teammate, Trent Dunham, is leading the race right now. Carson Gum with that push from the 15 going to help get by the 42 of Kyle Matthews. Trent Dunham led at the line right there. 8 laps to go. Wow, Carson! Huge block on the 15 of Fiegel. And because Fiegel was afraid of getting taken out right there, he moved up, but he opened that door for Johnny Gardner to go up for position. Joey Parkhill up to 4th, the pole sitter from the start of the race. Cole Baker. Cole Baker, he's been a rookie I've had my eye on this season to potentially win a race. He just hasn't had the best of luck so far here at the start of the season, but right now running fairly strong in the top 5. And it's going to be 7 laps to go when we cross the line, and we've been clean and green from the start. And despite Phil Parker dominating the first 8 laps or so, we've had a pretty good race here so far. But right now, Trent Dunham is in that position that Phil Parker was in, where he was up there so far up by himself, nobody could catch him unless they had a huge push. Right now, Johnny Gardner in the 9 trying to reel in the 1 for position, but he might have opened the door for Cole Baker to make a move, but didn't quite make it stick considering he had nobody behind him to give him that drafting help. But Baker is desperately trying to find a way around the 9 of Johnny Gardner, but he doesn't have much help in Gardner with a big block on the 18. In fact, speaking of Gardner, his teammate Rob Evans is now up here, maybe trying to help the 9 keep his position, but let's see how it all turns out. Cole Baker's still trying to find a lane to get around Gardner, as meanwhile Phil Parker, who led early on, he's back up here into the picture. We haven't seen him in quite a while. And now up to 2nd with that huge push from Bradley Zordrager, who's also being pushed by James McLeod, who we haven't talked about all race long. And look at Phil Parker go to the inside. Can he make the move stick? Or will Trent block him? No, Parker's got the run to the inside. Less than 5 laps to go here at Bermuda, and Phil Parker takes the lead back that he had early on. James McLeod, on the other hand, now up to 2nd, and we got another new contender we haven't talked about all race. Jake Baskinger, 2nd in points, may end up taking the points lead over, although Cole Deaver is pretty close to him, though. But Baskinger has an opportunity to take the points lead over going into our next race, in which I can't quite remember right now where we're going next. And wow, Zorlene about got turned by Benjamin Miles, but is trying to stay off the racetrack to let everyone go by and then eventually blend back in with the rest of the pack. Still not able to blend in properly. That cost Zorlene quite a bit of time right there. Trent Dunham still actually lost the lead on that last lap, but now is back up to the lead, as look at McLeod go. James McLeod now up to 2nd. As I'm looking back here to keep an eye on who's the bottom 5 right now, and it's Shelton, Sanford, Alexander, Sekuli, and Dollarton, although that still could change. Still plenty of time, less than 3 laps to go here at Bermuda. Trent Dunham now with actually a huge gap over Cole Baker, and that's not what you want to have happen, because look at the run Benjamin Miles got with that push from Johnny Gardner. there you go. Like I said, when you pull out to a huge margin like that, you will get swarmed big time, and it's paying off as here comes Miles on the inside of Dunham. New leader Benjamin Miles in the 22. And we're going to be coming to the line for 2 laps to go. As positions are even shuffling back up here in the bottom 5 as drivers are going every which way but loose. But right now, Benjamin Miles has the spot, but Johnny Gardner trying to get to the back bumper of the 22, but just doesn't have a draft partner, but he might get one by Trent in the form of Trent Dunham, as Trent Dunham's trying to get back up to the front. Although Trent going to pull out to the bottom, can he make the move stick? And he will. Trent Dunham up to second now, as we're getting ready to come out of turn 6 to take the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Bermuda for the Doritos 500. And Trent Dunham now with that huge push from McLeod. Trent Dunham back to the lead. 3 wide here in the bottom 5 area between Jacobs, Sanford, and Young. Back up at the front, Trent Dunham with a sizable race lead right now over McLeod. Although, look at Jonathan Zorline and Logan Bradley go. The Fords are trying to make a last-ditch effort to get back up to the front and potentially go for it, but I don't think they're going to have enough time. And Trent Dunham is holding them off fairly well. Coming out of turn 6 for the final time. First win of the season. Trent Dunham wins the Doritos 500 at the Bermuda Triangle Superspeedway. Trent Dunham's car came alive in that final third of the race. Led for a good bit, lost it for a couple laps, came back strong, and got his first W of the season. What a performance by that car. And what a good race we had here for our first time going to the Bermuda Triangle Superspeedway. But let's look at the rest of the results. James McLeod came through with a great performance in the second spot. He was kind of in and out of the top 10 virtually most of the race. Came on strong to get second. Jonathan Zorline, after that terrible run he had last week at Vegas, came back, third place finish. Logan Bradley, who's dead last in points coming into the race, finishes in fourth and was the highest finishing rookie of the race, in fact. And then Matt McIntyre continuing his uprise in the points and finishing fifth. Jake Rogers with a solid performance in the sixth position. Zachary Fitzwater in eighth. Benjamin Miles was close there at the end, but just got passed by Trent Dunham on the last lap, falls back to eighth. DJ Curtis with a great run at ninth. And then a solid top 10 finish for Dylan Poteet. Then there's the rest of your top 20, your top 30. And then the bottom five for this week are James Qualls, Dylan Young, Dylan Jacobs, Jessica Sheldon, and Charles Sanford. So tough break for those guys as they're going to lose a lot of points. But that does it for our coverage today at the Bermuda Triangle Superspeedway. I don't know where we're heading to next, but that will be Monday. Until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into our next race. And this is Levi McIntyre signing off.